So I just watched that like 15 minutes before I got in here. I just watched that Issa Rae rap shit pilot. She put out 2 episodes. I only watched the first one. I'm gonna watch the second one
Nice.
after
You love Issa Rae. Issa Rae's
love
your
Issa Rae.
fave.
Love Insecure. That's one of my favorite shows ever. Love Awkward Black Girl. Fuck man, I love Little. You ever see Little?
No.
I love Little. I love Issa. So I was excited for it, and it's cool, man. Like it's real interesting the way that it's like formatted. Like it's half of it is shot to where it's like it like takes place on like the characters' phones, and so like characters will go on Instagram Live and it'll be formatted like that, or like they'll FaceTime and it'll be formatted like that, or like they'll be recording, like you know what I mean, and like they do a lot of like really cool shit in just the first episode, like with the camera.
Hell yeah.
And like 2 people start recording at once at one point, and then it's just like this split screen thing, and it's like the same thing happening. But it's
shit.
cool. I ain't gonna lie, it was dope.
Hell yeah. So glowing rec for the first episode of Rap Shit.
Glowing rec for rap shit episode 1.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
I've been like pseudo following that show because I discovered through Twitter one of the co-stars, one of the leading ladies, Aida Osman. I discovered her on Twitter because A, she's very funny. B, she ended up getting a job writing for Big Mouth.
Nice.
And 3, I said A, B, and 3. That's okay.
Man.
But the thing that kind of blew her up on Twitter is that she recorded herself like rapping this rap about pegging, and it's so funny. It is so fucking funny that it was like this thing that I was showing all my friends for a minute. I was like, you got to watch the pegging rap. It's fucking great. So look up Aida's pegging rap. It's very funny. I'm excited to check out Rap Shit. It looks cool.
Yeah, nah, it's definitely cool. I'm excited to watch that second one, and I wonder how long the season's gonna be, because Insecure seasons usually range anywhere from like 8 to 10.
Right. I bet it'd be comparable. This is an HBO Max show, not an HBO show, right?
That's true too.
Right.
That is
so
true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. They kind of can kind of vary. It can kind of vary on both networks, but I don't know. It's cool that they can do both now too. Like I don't know. I guess I don't really know what the difference would be, but it falls under a different budget or something. But
like, did you watch Euphoria?
I watched the first season of Euphoria and the first special. I didn't watch the second special or season 2 yet.
Do you remember if Euphoria came out at a specific time or if it just came out at midnight?
I think it was a specific time.
Cool.
I think that's what happens.
That's an HBO show,
HBO.
Right?
Yes, you're right.
Well, okay, so here's the thing though, is that the Rap Shit pilot didn't come out till 9:00.
Interesting.
And it is HBO Max though. Like that's what the logo says and shit like that. But it didn't come out till 9:00.
That's really interesting. You know, I guess some other HBO Max stuff, like currently Tuca and Birdie, obviously it's a little different because it's airing on television first on Adult Swim, so they want that to happen first, and then it feels like 9 hours later on it hits HBO Max. Like the next morning it drops on HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't even know what time they come out, because by the time I wake up it's there.
I definitely woke up last week pretty early. I was like, I woke up and couldn't fall back asleep at like 5 a.m. And I was like, I wonder if the new Tuca and Birdie hit HBO Max yet. And I looked and it was not there yet. So I think that's 5 a.m. like Pacific time. So I think it hits like 7 a.m. ish or something like that on HBO Max. So they got to have specific times for certain reasons. Maybe I don't know. There is like, is it so it came out today, Friday? Is it Friday releases for everyone?
I think so.
Interesting, because it feels like that was Thursday. A big thing. Thursday, Jesus, it feels like a Friday to me because I'm leaving town tomorrow. So like I'm like, this is my last day of the week.
I feel that.
But yeah, I feel like on Sunday they always do a certain time because then people like get home and they watch it's like their Sunday evening ritual is to watch the new HBO shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Video,
cool.
Man.
I'm gonna check out Rap Shit.
Yeah, man. Cool. Good vibes. Actually,
Hell yeah.
while I'm doing live action Rex, uh, this other show that I watch. It's not on HBO though. It's on Showtime.
Yeah.
Um, just like how I said Insecure is one of my favorite shows ever. This is also one of my favorite shows ever. It's called Flatbush Misdemeanors.
Oh, you talked about this.
I fucking love that show. It
All
is
right.
like some of the best shit I've ever seen. I've seen the first season like 4 times. Um, the main character and like because he's like a painter and like anybody. I know people watch these like while drawing. I swear, if you're an artist, if you watch that show, you'll feel Kevin because like he like goes through a lot of weird shit with like commissions and you know what I mean. It's like stuff that like you
Right.
normally don't hear people talk about
Right.
in shows, especially like with like black characters in that specific kind of area and all that shit. Like, but it's like really cool and hilarious the way the plot unfolds. Like everybody's hilarious, everybody's great. Hassan Johnson's in it from The Wire. Um, it's good
That's on
shit.
Showtime.
Yeah, Showtime.
Flatbush Mist.
For all
That's a
five
good
people that
title.
have Showtime,
It's a good title. Flatbush
Flatbush
Misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors. Yeah, man. I think it
So season 2's airing.
yeah, and I think I don't know, man. I think that's what Blake told me is that like you get Showtime with Spotify, some weird shit like that. So
I got Spotify.
you might have
Shit.
Showtime, bro.
Do I have Showtime?
I think you might have Showtime.
Yo.
I think you might have Showtime. I don't know. You test it out.
Man, that was one of the few things I don't have, but you're telling me I do.
I think you do, bro. You might. You just
Wow.
might. I don't know.
Man, there's so many streaming services I don't even know I have them. That's fucked up.
Sick shit.
Before we get into this episode, I think this is a good time since we are doing South Park season 1. We should plug the Patreon because we are about to start a new mini series on the other projects of Matt Stone and Trey Parker. We're going to be doing 5 episodes, I believe, 4 of which are truly their projects, 1 of which they're just in. You probably know which one that is. So we'll be doing Cannibal the Musical, the film they made in college. Then we'll be doing Orgasmo, the film they made that didn't get to go to theaters because it got rated NC-17 and they got screwed. And then we're going to do Basketball, the film they were in but did not write. But also like a lot of the good comedy in that movie, I think, stems from them improvising and being funny people. Then we're going to take a little left turn into a world called That's My Bush, an 8-episode sitcom parody from 2001 in which the president of the United States gets stuck in the most stereotypical sitcom situations you've ever heard of. I can't fucking wait to talk about That's My Bush. It's going to be fucking great. And then, of course, we will talk about Team America World Police, a great film. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to talk about most of those. But especially Team America is so fun. And then I think probably at some point, if we can swing it, I want to talk about Book of Mormon, but we got to get everyone out to it. So I know it's coming to LA in December. That'll be the 3rd time I see it if I go see it then. I don't know if it's going to Philly, Tariq, but maybe we'll use some of this Patreon money to send you to New York. Get you a Broadway. We're gonna send you all the way to New York City. And, we're gonna get you a ticket for Broadway, and it's gonna be great, man. But I really want to talk about Book of Mormon. That would be really fun to talk about. I love Book of Mormon. The music. Have you listened to the music at all, Tariq?
No.
Don't listen to it because we're going to send you to New York so you can hear it. It's genuinely so catchy, so funny, so good. It's like literally almost every song in that soundtrack is a banger. It's incredible.
Word.
So that's the plan. That won't come till later if we do Book of Mormon, though. This will be a 5 episode, which ends up being like 2.5 months worth of Patreon content. We'll be doing Matt Stone and Trey Parker's extracurriculars. It's going to be great. We've already covered the South Park movie. Go check out that episode from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, God, I love that movie.
That episode's rough.
Oh yeah, because were you too high or something?
Yeah, I was inebriated.
I gotta re-listen to
I
it.
don't came to work like this. Oh no.
Oh man, maybe we'll do that episode again. Maybe we'll redo it. Maybe we'll do take 2.
Like the remix. Yeah, for sure. We gotta do the remix. We gotta do the remix.
Cool. But yeah, check out the Patreon. It's $5 a month. We have like 17 episodes. We just did the 2 Fritz the Cats movies, and we're gonna be doing these other Matt Stone and Trey Parker joints after this.
That second one is some butt ass though, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like not a good movie, but I found myself like thinking back on it fondly because it's such a trip. Like I don't know when the next time I would watch it again is, but like it's I don't know. There's some cool sequences in it. The first one's obviously a lot better because it's cool sequences plus has something to say.
Right.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's kind of funny too. Like
it's like yeah. It's true. Yeah. So check those out. Lots and lots of bonus episodes there. You can check out the video, or you get a whole feed of extra bonus episodes if you sign up there. It goes right into your app. It's pretty cool. And with that, let's cue the theme song and start talking about South Park. Season 1.
I've been watching them for years, it's always been something that fit with all the animated characters that's doing their own bits. With a fry who's in the future and a family guy that sucks. With a father from a hill, a burger family runs amok. The show inspires is the same guy, except he totally say and diverse.
Let's watch cartoons that curse.
Yeah, that's bananas.
That's rough.
What the is up, everybody? Welcome to Cartoons That Curse, the podcast about cartoons that say swear words, aka adult animated series. Some of your favorites and ours, like The Simpsons, Family Guy, King of the Hill, Futurama, and today, South Park, Season 1. Perhaps the cursiest of all cartoons. It's up there, that's for sure. At least at the time, it was the cursiest.
Cartoons that curse the most.
Yes, correct. I thought cursiest was the word. It's not a word?
That's also a good word for it.
It's a word now. Patented cartoons that curse word. Cursiest. We're gonna get some merch that says cursiest. and it's gonna say it in cursive.
Nice. I like that. I like it.
Hell yeah. I am Johnny. I'm your co-host. I'm joined by my other co-host, Tariq. How are you, Tariq?
Here to talk about South Park, man. It's first season of South Park. I did a weird thing just now where I went like this because I was trying to. I got paranoid because I can't see the little. I could kind of see it, but like my little wave files on the thing.
Oh yeah. I hear you. I see them. I think we're fine. Okay. I think we're in good shape here. If we blow it, then Mikey will get real mad at us. But we'll figure it out. I think we're good. I think we're in good shape here.
And Mikey just types "what the fuck" in the group chat, and he gets like the slam effect. He just fucking like hits your phone.
Oh man! So today we're here to talk about season 1 of South Park, as we've said a couple times here. Created by Matt Stone and Trey Parker. South Park. So I believe Matt Stone and Trey Parker met at college. And in 1992, they made an animated short called Jesus versus Frosty. Or The Spirit of Christmas is the other. And Jesus versus Santa. There's a few things going on here. So this was an animated short they made. I don't know. Did they make it in college? Oh, you know what? It's 2 stop motions. It's Jesus versus Frosty, right. Jesus versus Santa. There's 2.
Yeah, there's 2. Because, the first one is like super primitive. The second one is closer to the show, but the first one is way like closer. They like drew the eyes on the right. Instruction paper.
So yes, Jesus vs. Frosty they made together at the University of Colorado, where they went to school, and then they made Jesus vs. Santa in 1995, and I believe Jesus vs. Santa is the one that they put on a bunch of VHSs and just passed around. It was like a viral tape before.
I could 1000% be wrong, but I think that happened with the first one, and then second, and I think the second one was the one that they like made for somebody. Like I
Oh,
remember
interesting.
a
So they
story
saw the
about
first one. They saw the first one, and then the second one, they're like, "Oh, you should do this
right.
again."
I think that's what it
Interesting.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Cool.
So they created it as a Christmas card, basically. The first one, Jesus vs. Frosty,
Mm-hmm.
passed it around.
And then people were lying and getting jobs saying that they did it.
That they did it, which is insane.
Right.
My aunt says that she had a copy of it, like back in the day. Like she got a copy of it. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's nice.
And so that was like genuinely, you know, before the internet, before things can go viral, literal passing around a VHS, like a Christmas card VHS,
yeah,
which is very funny and a cool thing to do. And so 3 years later, they get commissioned to do the Spirit of Christmas, or I guess it's called the Spirit of Christmas, Jesus vs. Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And then that did so well that they got to make South Park. That was received so well. And even in the intro to season 1, you can see on the big screen is like a scene from Jesus vs. Santa.
Yep.
So there's little references to it there.
There's 2, which you don't, I guess you kind of see it in the widescreen version, but like there's a different cut. There's a different shot where like there's like just a TV on the ground in the corner, and then there's like footage from that shit playing too.
Oh shit! I don't think I noticed
that.
Wild. Pretty cool way to get your start, all things considered. That is pretty wild. So South Park comes out on August 13th, 1997. And the pilot, which they made after Jesus versus Santa, was once again all made by hand. Right? Yeah, the pilot is all made by hand. It's all construction paper, stop motion, which is why it's the only episode. They actually years later went back because they had all of the files that they used to make every episode of South Park, and we're able to go back and remaster it all in HD. So when you watch South Park, you can watch from the very beginning everything in HD except for the pilot is still in standard def.
Fucking weird.
This was
weird.
You know what? I'm used to watching the show in HD. Like I download all the HD files for my South Park videos, but I found myself this time for this being like, I wish I had the DVDs so I could watch the standard def versions.
Nah, that's how I felt. I was like, this is too, like, the way I just, because I don't know, my brain tells me it's supposed to be old, and then it doesn't look old at all.
and I think this season in particular, you feel that a lot when you're watching these HD versions, because like I think even the following season, and it's like it's all amped up a little bit from there, even in standard def. So it's like starts to feel less and less like, oh, this is old South Park. But like, since this is literally them working out the kinks of the show, you're kind of like, wow, why is this in high def? What? This doesn't make sense. But it is still kind of crazy and cool that they kept all of that shit. And because the show is so primitive, we're able to then actually remaster the whole thing in high def. In a way that other shows cannot. Like they're HD remasters of a lot of standard def cartoons, but not to this degree. Not when they widescreen it.
I must say that's because they just kind of zoom in and crop. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but there's also like so I would say Samurai Jack or like Avatar: The Last Airbender. They did nice HD upscale like re-exports without turning them into widescreen. So like they don't go to widescreen, but they do look a lot better than they did on the DVDs. So like I have an Avatar Blu-ray. It looks like way better than the DVDs I have.
You know what other shows like that?
Which one?
You remember Mucha Lucha?
Yes, I never really watched it, but I know it.
It was produced in Flash, which you already kind of working in like widescreen and HD, so like it was just kind of produced that way. So, and now that's just the standard. So like that's another show too, where if you watch it, even though it was made in like 2003, like it's gonna be in fucking widescreen the whole time. Except I don't know if there's HD cuts of that movie they did, but everything else
was... Is that a good show? Should I watch that?
I don't know. That was like 10. Ah, man, maybe even more than 10 years.
Have you ever made a video on it?
Huh?
You ever made a video on it?
Oh shit, no. You know, I gotta. I think somebody added me asking me to do it, not too long ago because I think it turns 20 this year.
Oh no shit! Wow.
But I already talked about one thing that turned 20 this year, and I'm talking about another thing that turns 20 this year in December. So many 20s. I feel like y'all not gonna be mad that y'all missing out on the Mucha Lucha video when you find out what the thing I'm doing in December is. So
you know what else? You know what turns 25 this year?
What's that?
South Park.
Shit. Fuck yeah, of course, because I do.
Right. I'm actually I have too much to do this week and tonight. Otherwise, like if we weren't recording this right now, I would be going down to Hollywood to the South Park 25th anniversary pop-up that is happening in like 17 minutes. It opens. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I also tried to go to the concert that they're doing at Red Rocks, the 25th anniversary concert. Couldn't get tickets, which is a bummer. I would have really liked to go. It's Primus and Ween, and then all the songs from South Park. Sounds fucking great. Sounds great. So this season was kind of it's a massive success of a season. They did an initial run of 6 episodes. Because it was successful, they did an additional 7, and the show was like a massive word of mouth success. Like people realized that there was partially because it was so controversial at the time. It's these little kids swearing and stuff. And so because of that, there was like a lot of buzz about the show, and the show rose from its initial episode, its pilot, under 1 million viewers, 0.98 million viewers in the US. And by the finale, it was up to 6.4 million. That is nuts. Huge.
Especially for Comedy Central.
Exactly. And it is the reason that South Park is still on, because like now they probably get 1.5 to 2, but the show is just like a juggernaut. It's like this. That's the only thing comparable is The Simpsons, where it just feels like too big for someone to say, I'm going to cancel you. You know, like I don't know when that will ever happen. But pretty cool success. That being said, it is so funny to watch this season. Now, having seen so many seasons of the show, and be like, this was the controversial thing this season.
Yeah, I didn't I really didn't want to feel that way. But when I was like, man, this is like so tame. Like
so tame.
This is so tame.
But like at the time, there was nothing like it. It's literally the opening scene is kids being like calling each other dildos, right? And like it's like there was not anything like that on TV in the 90s for sure. I mean, the first episode is called Cartman Gets an Anal Probe.
Yeah,
like that is the pilot episode, and so like, you know, by now pretty tame, but like this episode features Cartman with a giant satellite dish sticking out of his ass. That's for 1997. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of.
Word, yeah.
And it's really interesting to watch. I did think a lot about, even though thinking this season was tame, I was thinking about how insane of a premise for a pilot this is. They're just like, oh, look at it's our show about these kids who go to elementary school, and like the shenanigans they get up to. And oh, it's an alien abduction story. One character has a giant probe in his ass, and it's about them like having to get this kid's brother back from the aliens.
Yeah.
Pretty weird premise for a pilot.
I guess I never thought about that. It's kind of one of those things where like this pilot, just like every other show's pilot that we talked about, like it's just, except King of the Hill, I guess, but like it's just kind of burned into my brain. You know what I mean? Like the whole first scene I knew by heart. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, so I guess I never think of the absurdity that this is how they decided to start the cartoon. I guess I never really thought about that.
I know. I didn't think about it till today. Like, this was just like, oh yeah, the first episode, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. Like, that's in my brain. That's just always been in my brain. And then watching it being like, this was the first thing they did.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, that is wild.
Oh, dude, you know what? I meant to fucking text you this earlier. I would be remiss if I don't bring this up. You ever see when Arthur parodied this episode?
What? Those words don't compute in my brain at all.
They don't do the they don't do the anal probe thing, but they do have Buster get abducted by aliens, and it all
Buster
happens.
Gets an anal probe.
No, Buster doesn't get an anal probe, but it all happens in the South Park art style, and
I have to fucking watch that. We should. We need to do
it's funny.
We got to do like a Patreon episode about that or something like that. That sounds insane. I need to.
It's funny. I love that. I remember when I saw it as a kid, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, they're like mimicking. Well, that whole episode of Arthur actually is just kind of TV parodies because they do Beavis too.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh man, you would actually really love that whole episode.
I'm sure I would. It sounds fucking cool. It sounds like a good time. All right, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that out for sure. I found myself really charmed by how crude the pilot is. It's just like, I don't know, you can just feel that it's just two dudes making it themselves. But there are also some like relatively ambitious shots they had to stop motion do. Like I kept looking at the shot of Cartman getting dragged down the like hallway, and there's a shot of him like on the anal probe table, and they like there's all the alien hands come out, and like I don't know, there's stuff I was like, this is very well storyboarded, and yeah.
Especially with like the constraints that they have having to make it all with construction paper, like actual construction paper and shit.
Exactly, because like the reason you do it in construction paper like that is so you can keep reusing assets for everything, right? Like you make the little guys, but like they do the shots like Cartman on the table, and that's like a diagonal angle. Like that's a whole new. You got to cut out a whole new Cartman to do that shot. So, and I'm sure, and I have a feeling that like, I mean, I thought about like, oh, what would I do if I were making this? And the answer is that I would do the whole thing first, and then probably go in and be like, okay, what can we like improve framing wise, blocking wise? What can we go in when we have time? Once we have the whole thing done, what can we go in and improve visually, like in the middle here? But it was cool. It was cool to think about it from the production perspective, which is something that I've rarely done for this pilot.
It's cool. It's cool to look at. Like, I used to like to watch this one as a kid all the time because I really liked how it looked. Just the fact that it actually is construction paper, and we were talking about just like how HD the rest of the season looks, but the fact that they like upscaled this, it looks so fucking cool because it's still shot on film, so it's like upscale shot on film. It looks fucking cool. I ain't gonna lie.
I like looking at this one. I want to figure out how we can watch the standard def ones if we keep going forward. I'm gonna reach out to some people right now. But I still think it's really cool that these are upscaled, but like this one was more charming than the rest of this season. Did you notice that in which episode is it? It's in Volcano. Did you notice that in Volcano? I'm just going to jump ahead to that. There's a scene that is them showing the old educational film of what to do when a volcano erupts, duck and cover. They just for that film, they just used the standard def thing. It goes back to black bars, and they just kept the standard def one to make it look old. And I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. This would have looked weird if it were in high def. I thought that was very, very smart of them. So I don't know. It's weird. I always download the high def ones, especially for my South Park videos, but I kind of want copies of all the other ones too.
No, I feel it.
I want them.
I will say it was a stroke of genius to them to think like, maybe we could just do this with computers, because I don't think my brain would have worked that way, especially not back then. I think I would have just kept going, exactly like how they.
I think they probably knew based on how long it took that like we can't do a whole season of television like this.
But it's just like okay, because I could be wrong, but I feel like I remember them saying that it took like 3 or 4 months, and they were like, man, what the fuck? Like, I wouldn't want to do this. Cartoons normally take between 9 months and a year. Like, so it's like, either way, y'all were ahead of the curve. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true. But it's like so labor intensive, right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I guess that probably would have gone faster if they have a team, like, because the first one was just them.
That's what I thought. It's just like you get a group, you get like a group of people, and then you just kind of go like, all right, y'all get the scene, we get this scene, y'all get this scene, and then you just kind of like handle it, and then
Yeah.
like you could get it done. Like I ain't gonna say like lightning speed and no shit like that, but it could get done.
They
But I
don't
do think
things
I think
easily.
I think it was smart to go computer regardless. You know,
Yeah, clearly, especially when you look at the fact that this is one of the only shows ever that's been able to like upscale and widescreen for
Right.
the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of known for not doing things easy. When they talked a lot about how much of a nightmare making Team America was with the marionettes, and they're like, we thought this would be fun and cool and easy, and it was the biggest nightmare we've ever experienced.
Right. Man, they'll do anything but draw. They'll do it all.
True. It's true. They'll win 9 Tonys.
Yeah, anything but do a drawing, man. I respect it.
I do too. So it's funny how many things they establish pretty immediately. Like kick the baby is one of the first things.
Sure. Yeah.
Chef is the first adult we meet.
Mm-hmm.
I was in general it was so interesting to look at the season and see what characters were most prominent, especially adults. Like obviously the kids are prominent. They feel more like kids in this. They're ignorant kids. Like they're kids who
Right.
don't know all this shit. And so part of it is them learning things and learning things and learning them wrong and assuming things wrong about like the world. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the humor stems from them being kids and not getting things. And that obviously is not at all how the show works now. And even probably 6 seasons later or even earlier, like the kids are basically adults
Right.
at this point.
It went from like Rugrats to Charlie Brown. Like
Right.
you know how like Rugrats is kind of like the adults will say something and the kids will be like, what do they mean by that? And they'll just like completely misinterpret it. But in Charlie Brown, like they talking about like mortgages and like everybody's having like existential crises and shit like that.
Right.
Like those are the conversations that those kids are having.
True. And I kind of like the idea that that's how it goes, because it's like they're these kids who are like trapped in a sitcom. They're trapped in a show. So like if things just reset and they don't really age, they go from 3rd to 4th grade and that's it. And they've still gone through all of these life experiences over 25 years. Like, oh yeah, if these kids had gone through all of this shit, they wouldn't be acting like kids anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still like it. There are still episodes in the modern South Park where they do act like kids, and I love that. But you know, like you can only do the like kids don't understand things about the world so many times before you're like, well, they've done this already. You know?
Yeah, there was a lot about this season. I was watching it. I was like, I guess they got bored of that, and I respect that they got bored of a lot of this shit. Like Stan throwing up on Wendy, shit is over with.
I know.
Like
they got rid of that. I mean, even killing Kenny, they haven't done that. They kill Kenny still when it's impactful, which I love. I love that, like it's still a thing that they can kill Kenny, but it always like means something to the story it's in. And I like how the show's evolved in that way, because it was just a gag where they're like, well, what if we killed one of the kids every time? And
then it's like Kyle and Stan back to back both have like that catchphrase that I feel like they would make fun of now. Like they would never do some shit like that now.
Oh, they were already making fun of it in this season. There's one where when Kyle kills Kenny because he's a zombie, and he goes, "Oh my God, I killed Kenny, you bastard!" Like it's like they're already making fun of their own shit that they've done only 13 times in this season, which is great. I mean, like. It's so interesting to see how this show evolved, because you know, like they have these ideas for the first 13 episodes of the show, and they're like, "Wow, this is getting a little tired. Well, we got to change this out. We got to do something else here." But like let's think about some of the main adult characters in this season. You got Jimbo and Ned are like big in this season. Bar Brady. They've even done episodes before where they acknowledge that they got rid of Bar Brady because they have the new detective who's in it all the time.
I guess I never noticed.
Yeah, because they went from like the inept idiot cop to like the over the top stereotypical like grizzled cop, like
Right.
freeze, you know.
He's so funny.
He's so funny. So
He's the
funny.
best.
The mayor is a huge part of this season, and like it's all about her being kind of an asshole. She's kind of like this fame hungry, like status hungry asshole, and it's really interesting.
She's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
too. That's part of it.
She is kind of dumb. She does that thing where she thinks she doesn't realize they're live, so she's like pretending to cry, and then she's like, "Wait, can we do this again?"
I thought you were gonna bring up the where he says the geologist is here to see you, and she thinks Buddy's saying the gynecologist. And then when he corrects her, she's like, shut the fuck up. Like, you don't correct me, you're fired.
Right. And then she immediately tries to call him back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who else is well, Chef, obviously. Chef's like the most prominent adult.
Which is just like there's more South Park without Chef than there is with Chef.
So much more.
Yeah. So
it's been like 15 seasons without it.
Fucking wild.
Mr. Garrison, obviously, very different. Mr. Garrison's very different this season.
Seeing old Garrison is just crazy. That's just crazy vibes.
There's some there's hints of like him being kind of an asshole, and like there's hints of what he would become, but not much. Like he's very different. What else? Mephisto, the doctor, the mad scientist doctor. He's in this season a lot.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Right. They're like all of these characters, Jesus, like all of these characters they like had as the rounding out of the cast of the show outside of the kids, and almost all of them went away after a few seasons. Like they're still around, but like they started bringing in so many other adult characters and who took over.
Randy, so many people get like amplified roles and like, you know, the boys stay, but like, it just kind of evolves around them to the point where like, it's weird to see South Park without certain characters and because of like what we know it now. Like there's no Butters like whatsoever.
I think he's in a shot of the pilot, or it's at least a kid who looks like him.
Like maybe like in the background or something like that.
Right. And it's
like his voice comes out of Clyde in one of these episodes.
I wrote that down. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird to see that. Also, like, but Butters kind of becomes the kid they rip on, but for these first couple seasons, it's Pip. Pip is like
for sure, man. Oh, fucking Pip! I forgot Pip. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was a huge part of this shit. He was just the kid everyone hated. Even to the point where in the episode Damien, that's like a big plot point. Is like they accept Damien because he's like, oh, I'll do what you guys do, and I'll shit on Pip. And and that was just like, there was like a dynamic. It was like almost a fundamental dynamic of the show in this first season. And eventually they kill Pip, right? Do they kill him?
I think I think they do kill Pip. Like I've heard them say that they didn't. They like he was like, oh, we don't even like this scene. Like I don't even know why we made him for real. And then there's that like I haven't seen it. I've only seen it once, but I fucking hated it as a kid. That whole episode that's just Pip, and I don't know. I think where did they go? Like they go like this hometown and shit.
The Pip episode, and then the funny
I think it's called Pip.
Yeah, you might be right. It's just called Pip. But is this which episode? What season is it? Season 4? It's just season 4.
Fucking hate that one, dude. Well, as a kid, I did. I haven't seen it since the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's a weird episode, and then it's also funny because they kind of replace Pip's role with Butters, and then Butters gets his very own episode. But like, imagine the show without Butters. Butters is like fundamental. Butters is
for
fundamental.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you notice that in this season, Token's in the whole thing? They don't say his name. He doesn't talk once.
He has the fucking T on his shirt
wrote that
the
down.
entire fucking time.
He has the T. They did that. They knew that was part of it. That was who he was, even though they didn't use him. They put the T on his damn shirt.
It's fucking nuts. There's a shot in one of these where he's white, and it is the weird. what episode? He's in like a crowd, and it cut back to him multiple times, and it's just like it's the same hair, it's the same shirt, it's just a white face and white hands.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow, bizarre. It's so interesting. It was just such an interesting rewatch, especially watching. I've watched episodes from this season to do research for videos, but I haven't sat down and watched the whole first season in so long, and it is such a trip, such a trip to watch through. I really respect how like bonkers of a first season it is, even though I think you and I both are kind of on the same page. We were texting about it. It's like a little slow. It's a little boring, especially compared to later South Park. Like it's kind of a mid-season, even though at the time it was this big, crazy, controversial thing.
Right.
And I respect a lot about this season, and I respect, obviously it's like their first time making stuff, on this professional level, making a show. So they're working out the kinks too. They're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And obviously they did very well figuring that stuff out as the show went on. But it was bizarre to watch through and be like, I like this premise. This episode's a little boring though,
Right. Yeah. I went through that with like so many. There's only 3 of these that like I came out and I was like, I liked this one. Like, but the rest, it was like, I didn't come out of them being like, I hate this. Like,
right.
But like, I was just the as bored as you could be for a lot of these. Again, though, it is interesting to look at through the lens of just like knowing what the show became and like knowing the characters and shit like that. Like that's really what like got me through it, was just kind of looking at it through those lenses.
Right.
But, like, I don't know, a lot of the shit they were doing, I kind of wasn't I wasn't gravitating towards it.
I hear you. Well, let's keep rolling through this pilot and talk about what we did and didn't like about it, and then we'll go through them. But like, it's like there's so much to talk about in terms of how this show is so different. It's just a whole different show at this point. It's another teacher who they got rid of is Miss Crabtree, the bus driver. They eventually got rid of her.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I
was admiring how great, especially for in the pilot, how great of a character design she is to make with construction paper, like her teeth and like the bird in her hair. Like, I don't know. She was just like so expressive for this show in particular, where you got your characters whose all faces look the same. She is so expressive. I really appreciated that. They kind of do a lot of fun, like poking fun at the educational system. Like there's a lot of episodes in this season that I was like, oh man, if they made this commentary now, people would be like, wow, South Park's gone woke, which is really funny. In the pilot, Garrison's lesson about Christopher Columbus is just like he came and he helped all of the Native Americans. Like he's just it's all it's like they're clearly making fun of the way the U.S. education system coddled like the kids in regards to the discovery of America and all that shit. It's funny. It's funny to hear it because they don't draw attention to it in this one. It's just in the background. It's like, but that's clearly them making fun of our school systems.
Right.
I was laughing because the anal probe design, the first one that comes out of Cartman's ass, not the satellite dish, but the little probe, they kept that design and use it in Stick of Truth. It's a big part of Stick of Truth, which I think we should somehow cover on the podcast, whether that's on Patreon or on the main feed. We both got to play those games and sit down and talk about them. You got them. That's right. We got to play them, dude. I played through them a few times. I played through the first one a few times. I've actually never beaten the second one because I'm really bad at the combat in it. I'm just bad at the grid-based combat. I'm not good at it. I need to figure out how to make my character. I need to figure out how to build my character the right way for that shit.
I don't know if I'm gonna be much. I'm good at maybe 5 video games.
It's not a hard game. The first one isn't, at least. It's pretty standard. Like you just have to. It's an RPG, turn-based, and you have to press the buttons at the right time in your combat in order to maximize your damage and minimize the damage that you take. It's really fun. I love Stick of Truth. I think it's kind of a perfect game. It's so much fun. There's things in this pilot that I was like, this is out of character. Like Cartman being like, now the kids think I'm fat, so I don't want to eat the powdered donut surprise. Like Cartman turning down the powdered donut surprise. I don't think that's the Cartman I know.
I feel that. There's a really weird line in the first scene. Stan says, "Whoa, Cartman, looks like you didn't get much sleep last night." And I was like, "What the fuck?" It was just like, why is he talking like that?
Right. Yeah, there are weird things like that in this. Let's see. I like the joke when they show the crop circle and it's Cartman, and Cartman goes, "Hey, that kind of looks like Tom Selleck." that got a good laugh out of me. I like when Cartman's just refusing to even entertain the idea that he's been anal probed, and he's like literally sitting there in the field, and he goes, "Nah, you guys are just making it up." And they're like, "Cartman, there's an 80-foot satellite dish sticking out of your ass right now." Like, we're not making it up. Even the alien ship design is the same one they use in Stick of Truth. They updated obviously because it's just cardboard or it's just construction paper in this, but same design for the spaceship, which is really funny.
Nice.
There's something that I like the end of this episode where the aliens are like, cows are the most intelligent and wise creatures, and they like give the cows the technology or whatever. I wish they would bring back the alien relation to the cows somehow. That feels like a thing that they could come back to come back on. And it's so
Maybe
weird
do
and
it
out
in
there.
the series finale.
Yeah, they got it.
You know.
Cows take over the world or something. Man, how do you feel about this pilot?
I don't know. Like once you kind of get past like how cool it looks, it's another one of those that like after a while I just kind of got a little bored.
Right.
But you know, see, because I don't want to say that I don't like it, because I don't think that those are the right words.
There's not really any episodes this season I don't like, but there's also not that many that I like love. It's kind of like it feels kind of like King of the Hill, which we talked about recently. Except I think I generally like King of the Hill season 1 more than this, but
I do.
Still
1000%.
similar vibes where I'm like, oh, this is good. But compared to what I know and love of South Park, this is mid. Like this is like, yeah, I would like respect it, but don't love it.
It kind of felt, and that's me being unfair to it, but I kind of like a lot of the time I found myself like watching it, waiting for the South Park shit to happen. Right. You know what I mean? But like it never does, and that's because like all that like it doesn't turn into what I know it to be until way later.
Right. I think like the like biting commentary is missing from this season, whereas the wacky hijinks are here, but they're just not like, they're not as, I don't know, they don't feel, sorry, my animals are fighting each other. Like I don't know, like the premises are so wild. Like I feel like a lot of these premises you can see how South Park evolved from them, but I don't feel like the dialogue or jokes are as like strong as what we would come to find later, I mean, it's mostly a little basic, but like, I don't know, like Mr. Hanky is wild. Like Damien is a crazy premise.
When we get to Mr. Hanky, bro, that shit was gross.
Dude, I know what you're talking about, but it makes me laugh every time. We'll get there though. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think this is a great pilot for like them making how they made it. Sure. Clearly, I don't know. Like, I really respect what they did here, but it is crazy to look at this because it's barely resembles how what South Park would become to be remembered. Absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna move on to episode 2. So this is, if you watched on HBO Max, they actually have 2 episodes out of order. Weight Gain 4000 was the second episode that aired, and Volcano was the third. But for some reason on HBO Max, they're flipped. They were produced in the right, like it was Weight Gain and then Volcano, and you can even tell like Cartman's voice sounds like the pilot Cartman, and then in Volcano it gets a little closer to what we know now. Still not all the way there, but closer. So we're going to talk about Weight Gain 3000, which is episode 102. And this is like another one where I'm like, oh man, Cartman is so dumb early on. Like Cartman, he's still kind of evil in this season, but like in an ignorant way.
I don't even think I would go evil. I just think he just kind of gets mad because he's spoiled.
Well,
I think he's just spoiled.
I guess the one thing I'm thinking about evil wise is when he's like watching the Hitler tape and he's just like, oh, that could be me. Okay. That's the one where I'm like, okay, well, those are the seeds of evil Cartman there.
Super fair.
But yeah, you're right. He is kind of a mad asshole in this. But like he doesn't know what a rainbow is at the beginning of this episode. He doesn't know what a rainbow is. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing to have Cartman not know.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny that the first celebrity they bring in is Kathie Lee Gifford. It's very funny to me. Very random. There are some funny bits here. Like I like when they flash back to Garrison's like his issues with Kathie Lee, and it's just the same old Garrison face on a kid body. That's pretty funny. And this is kind of where there's a little bit of seeds of like the shitty Garrison that we would see later. Like he's like, I want to kill Kathie Lee Gifford because he's jealous that she beat him in a, what is it, like a puppet competition? Is that what it was? Like a ventriloquist?
Some shit like that.
So like they have little seeds of them figuring out Garrison a bit, but it's still very different. And he's doing things through Mr. Hat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hat character that they ditched eventually. Although he's back. We haven't seen him back yet. I mean, we saw him come back in Vaccination Special, but they haven't really used him.
But then they just kind of laid off Garrison. We ain't seen him since. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just kind of been around. And they used to do other stuff with Cartman, like where you'd screech, where you're like, man, screaming mom.
Which I forgot about, but it is pretty funny.
Right. I forgot about too. It's funny. There's like a lot of things. Like early Cartman has a lot of other mannerisms that like we kind of lose later on, which is fine. Because like I think there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in general that they did early on. Like this is pretty fucked up right here, which I think is actually a funny catchphrase. I like that catchphrase. Yeah.
There's so many of this fucking respect my authority and all that shit. Like
but that's not even in this season, is it? That comes in season 2.
I think that's season 2. Yeah. But he also, like you were talking about, just like his like different speech patterns. Like he'll do like, instead of saying right here, he'll say like right here and shit like that. Yeah. And shit, he
still kind of does the "yeah" now, but they do it a little differently. Like he doesn't say like right here, he'll just be like like I feel like there was a episode recently where they were like making a plan. He goes, you go here and you go yeah. I love Cartman in the beefcake shirt. I think that's really funny. the pink beefcake shirt. Yeah, one of my notes was Cartman's voice sounds like it regressed from the last episode. That's because this was supposed to be the second episode. I didn't realize it till after I watched through them. This is a good episode showcasing how dumb Barb Brady is. Like Barb Brady is just the completely, absolutely inept police officer. There's the part where Garrison's gonna kill Kathie Lee, and he's just like got a gun in his hand, and he's like, where's gonna be the best view of the Kathie Lee parade? He's holding the gun, and Barb Brady's like, probably the old book repository, which is a reference to the actual assassination of John F. Kennedy. He was shot from a book repository in Dallas. So that's the reference there. It's weird. Like this whole season's weird. I'm going to keep saying that. It's also funny. So like in the first one, they do Chef's Advice. His songs were of advice, which were just him singing about sex, just having Isaac Hayes sing about sex, basically.
Sure.
And then this one, they acknowledge that it's weird. Like, he sings to Kathy Lee, and like the mayor is like, what the fuck's going on? But in every other episode, when he's singing, they're singing the sexual song Lessons. They're like, they're just like, don't even acknowledge that it's a weird.
Yeah,
it's
which is
weird
kind of
advice.
which is kind of what I wanted. I was actually kind of bummed out when they were like, what is he doing? I was like, oh man, that's not funny.
I agree, especially because I watched this one third, and in 103 they do it the right way, and then I was like, oh, why did they do it different in this one? So like the first two that I watched, there was like, oh yeah, they don't acknowledge it, they just think he's giving advice. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's a weird episode. I don't love the premise of this episode.
Yeah, one of my only notes is this episode is stupid.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Like, I think the visual, I think they were like kind of riding on the visual of Cartman getting fatter and fatter, and it wasn't that funny. And neither was like maybe the Kathleen Lee Gifford stuff would have been funnier to me if I had any like connection to her at this time. Like when this came out, was that very funny? Was like using Kathy Lee in this way funny? Right. But I don't know. This one did very little for me. Not my fave.
Very, very little. Literally the only actual reaction I got out of this episode was at the very end when like she's in bed with Chef. I was like, oh, I got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, me too.
But after like anything before that, which is crazy because that's like literally the last shot. So like anything before that, I just kind of wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't really with this one.
We on the same boat there. All right, well let's move on to 103 then.
Cool. Volcano. I actually really like this one.
Volcano's
really
great,
but I like this one.
I like Volcano. Volcano's funny. Yeah. Like, and like this early version of Randy is also funny, even though he's not like the Randy you come to know. He is a funny version of Randy. This episode feels so instantly different than the first two. Like, I remember watching the first one. So I watched this one second because it's out of order, and that was the first thing. I was like, this feels so different than the first episode. But I remember watching the second, or the Weight Gain 4000, and be like, wow, it regressed. Like, feels more like what it was before. But I don't know. It feels like, hold on, my dog's squeaking a toy. Do you hear that?
A little bit.
Is that gonna get picked up? All right, 1 second. Let me stop that. Okay, you stopped. She stopped. Yeah, this is episode I always liked, always remembered. The It's Coming Right For Us bit is funny. They're like kind of making fun of hunters. And I like the It's Coming Right For Us thing. It feels like they've got the group dynamics settled a little more in this episode than they did before. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a funny episode. There's a lot of bits I like. Like, Randy's first scene is so funny when he's just sitting at the geology department and the thing starts going off, and he's just like, oh shit. He calls someone like, hey, yeah, that thing, it's shaking. It's shaking. He's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's smoking. He's like, looks at the mountain. He's like, yeah, it's smoking. It's like a volcano. And then they do the funny music sting, the like dun dun dun.
Yeah, nah, fam. When he goes to see the mayor and he tells her, and like it just fucking lingers. That shit made me laugh.
I love that. It's so great. I love Ned singing Kumbaya. I think that's very funny. That's good. And then like the premise, there's like a real premise to there's some real character stuff going on with Stan here, where he's insecure about his uncles taking him on this trip, and he doesn't feel cool enough to like kill an animal or hunt. And like he sees that his uncle is like taken to Kenny, and he gets insecure and jealous about it. Like, there's real character stuff going on in this episode, which I really like. Did they name Randy in this, or is he just there?
He says Randy Marsh.
Oh, he does
says
say
it,
Randy Marsh.
He says it on the phone. Yep.
Oh, he says Marsh. Okay, so he at least says. So we do know that it's Stan's dad, even though.
Well, do we know? Stan's
well,
last
we know
name
he's
is
a
Marsh.
Marsh. We know he's a Marsh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do we even know that Stan is Stan Marsh? I guess I don't know. I guess we don't. Yeah, that's weird. We'll have to go back and look into that.
There's Cartman says a line that used to make me laugh a lot as a kid. He says, "My mom says there's a lot of black people in Africa." That used to make me laugh a lot when I was a kid.
He says there's a lot of Cartman repeating things his mom tells him in this.
Yeah, man. She was telling him some sick shit.
Yeah. It was so interesting to look at Leanne in this season, who is like a caricature of a mom in this. She's just like the sweet mom who's giving her kid everything he wants. Anything he asks, she'll do for him, constantly making him food, bringing him things. And I actually really enjoyed it in juxtaposition with the most recent stuff, in which she is finally just like, I'm not doing anything for you, Eric. I'm fucking over it. Like, yeah, no more.
Yeah, it is wild. That's one of the things I was thinking about, was that contrast. Just like how, especially because like with Eric, like he was manipulative. Like nowadays he's like manipulative and shit like that. Right. You know what I mean? But like, he just was kind of a kid that like would ask for something, and then she would either say yes automatically, or she'll say, "Oh, I don't know," and then he'll be like, "Come on, son," and then like she'll give. But is it the first one? If it's not the first one, it might actually be in Weight Gain. But there's a moment where she says, "Go outside and like hang out with your friends," and he says, "I don't want to do that." And she says, "Don't be difficult. Go outside and hang out." Like she like flips. Right. And I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. That was unusual. What do you think about Scuzzlebutt?
Who?
Scuzzlebutt.
Oh, the fucking oh man, whatever.
The Sasquatch with a celery hand and a Patrick Duffy leg.
That's probably the part I cared about the least.
Yeah, same. I forgot about Scuzzlebutt. Although it was crazy, he saves the day and then Stan just kills him. It's like I think that's actually works really well as a completion to the story, with Stan like being afraid to kill something, and then he chooses to kill the exact wrong thing.
Right.
And I love afterwards where they're like, "Stan, you can't kill that." And they're like, "What? I thought you wanted us to kill things." And Kyle just goes, "Yeah, make up your mind, dude." which I thought was really funny. Which is kind of interesting commentary. Like, why are we, what are we allowed to kill? There is a weird thing in our society where it's just like, there's a lot of animals we eat and others that if we even contemplated it, people would be like, "That's fucked up, dude. It's fucked up." You know what I mean? Like, they're all animals, dude. Like, is it all okay or is it not none okay? What makes it cool? Yeah, it's interesting. I really like this one. I think it's really funny. The mayor is a real dumb asshole in this episode. Randy, this weird early Randy is very funny. No eyebrows. No eyebrows on Randy here. And I think I brought this up in our last pod episode, but he when in the latest Streaming Wars, he's reminiscing about his days as a geologist, and when he's looking at his old photos, he has no eyebrows in those photos, which is very funny. Especially because I think there's only 2 episodes where he doesn't have eyebrows. It's this one, and there's one more, but it's weird because he gets eyebrows in like the next episode, and then loses them an episode later. It's strange. Do you got any other thoughts on Volcano?
Well, I wrote that the kids with the guns is so funny. The visual, not only just the visual of them holding the guns, but the fact that he keeps, "I'll blow your fucking head off." Like they're just like going back and forth. Is that I like that shit. That shit was funny to me.
They use that same visual in a more commentary focused way in like season 19 or something. It's maybe 21. They do the Dead Kids episode, this one about school shootings, and like they just have like the hall monitors have fucking AKs. Like Butters holding an AK. It's really fucked up.
Butters with an AK. The visual of Butters with an AK is making that's what's making me laugh.
when I used to do episode by episode like reviews the night they came out when I started my channel, which I've taken down most of them, that one blew up more than almost any other one, and I think it's because my thumbnail is Butters holding a gun. That is my thumbnail. So that's
YouTube 101 right there.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay, let's move on if you're ready to Big Gay Al's Gay Boat Ride. Actually, you know what they said? They had the title wrong on HBO Max. It's Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. It just said Gay Boat Ride on HBO Max.
What did I write in my? Oh yeah, see, I definitely wrote that in my ranking because I was just going off what they had written there.
Right. Well, that's the funny thing is like I read it on there and I was like, I thought it was Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride, and then I just looked it up right now on the Wikipedia and I was like, I was right. I was right. I really, really like this episode. This episode won the McGlad Award for
nice.
In 1997 for their commentary on gay issues, and I think this is a really interesting representation of where the culture was at the time, because like clearly this is Matt and Trey like pleading the case that like this is totally okay. Just let people live their lives. It's like, it's the way these people are going to be happy. What's wrong with that? But even at the end, society's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Right. And like, that is very much where things were at this time. And I think they do it in a really interesting way. Just like Stan is the parent going through like the revelation that his kid or his dog is gay and he's saying all the same shit that the parents would say at this point. We're like, well, he's just confused.
I think what was the most interesting turn, I guess, in the story was Stan like being overwhelmed with joy that he found the dog and being like, all right, I love you. We can figure this out together and make you not be gay together. And then like Big Gay Al's is like, fam, you still don't get it. Like that's not the point.
They absolutely hammer it home. And like, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because like, I mean, it's clear to me, like, I feel like some naysayers could look at this episode and be like, yeah, but at the end, everyone disagreed. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's the point. They're saying that everyone's wrong. Like, that's the point.
The episode very clearly spells out what its stance is. And like, just because all the townspeople like be like, nah, fuck out of here, that doesn't mean that that's what the episode is trying to tell you to do. That's what the episode is saying that everybody would do. You know what I mean?
Right. That's like, I remember back years ago on some internet forum seeing someone try to argue that that if or I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but it was about like they were trying to argue that because the show has shown a character say this, that represents Matt and Trey's stance. But I'm like, no, but you have to look at the context of the character in the story. You can't just because if you're taking everything every character says as what Matt and Trey believes, then it's all contradictory because they show characters who believe all these variety of things.
Right.
Yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting how people are bad at consuming media. Man, I was also wondering, like, whatever happened to Sparky? Sparky was around for a few seasons.
That's what I was thinking that too, man. What the fuck happened to Sparky? What the fuck happened to Cartman's cat?
Any animals? It's interesting.
Oh, I will say we did get some comments clarifying that like apparently that dog, Khan's dog, just doesn't go anywhere in King of the Hill. I just never fucking noticed.
Yeah, he just shows up. He's just around. There's just no more stories centered around him. But sometimes you see Connie or Khan walking it in the morning or something. Like there's but yeah, they never draw attention to it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are like pretty prominent in the season. Like I remember there's a later episode in the season, I can't remember which one, where the kids are just going back to Stan's house. and they just have Sparky sitting out front, just sitting there in front of the house. Like, well, they don't do that anymore. Sparky's gone. Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, did you notice? This is something I didn't know until I watched, I believe it was the YouTuber Johnny something, that kid who covers YouTube or covers South Park that we've watched his stuff. I learned this from his season 1 video. In this season, Kyle's last name is Brozflovsky. They specifically say Kyle Brozflovsky, not Broflovsky. It's different. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Whole different name in this season. Johnny Something's good. You guys should go check out his work. Also check out Blooms if you're looking for good South Park YouTube content. Blooms, Johnny Something. They both make good stuff. Blooms has been making like some crazy videos that blow up. He made a video about every controversy that they've ever gotten in, and I was just like hitting myself, like, how did I not think to make this fucking video? Like, I know, how did I not think of this? I really enjoy this episode. Like, Big Gay Al is a great character, first of all. It's just funny that he's got this big gay farm, whatever. He's just like got this big gay farm.
Well, it's like a club
where all the
too.
gay animals can come be themselves.
Yeah.
And, it's very funny.
Dude, speaking of characters that fucking show up and disappear, because I know who they are, but where do they go? Those 2 homophobic kids.
Yeah, they are here. They're in this show. They're in this first couple seasons a lot. The 2 kids are like, oh, that's gay.
I remember them, yeah.
Yeah, you even see their parents in this season. They look the exact same and they act the same. And they show up. They show up for years in decreasing roles as time goes on. But they were like big characters. They were like big side kids for a while.
They're like Peanuts again. It's like Violet and not Violet, but like Patty and Shermie, who were like 2 really important characters at first, and then like Charles Schultz kind of he invented Lucy and Linus, and he was like, I kind of don't need these 2 anymore, and then like it just kind of fell off eventually.
Of all the kid characters that have prominent roles in this season, it's just like the main 4 and Wendy are pretty much the only ones who make it out.
Sure,
as like continued major roles, like, because it's really just those 2 kids and Pip, and anyone else, like no one else has major speaking roles.
Honestly, if we just kind of want to talk about like characters not being who they turn out to be, Wendy's the worst one, I think.
Very different.
Yeah.
Also has a different voice actress in these early seasons, so it's especially different. But yeah, she's like she is definitely like a little more vindictive and like manipulative in this, and like emotional.
She's just kind of like, it took me watching the season to realize, like, I guess Wendy's kind of just like not a kid either. Like, and Wendy's kind of like the first one to not be a kid.
Totally.
She grows up way quicker than like Stan and them.
Totally.
And it was crazy to watch, especially like we're gonna get to that episode later, but like we're Stan and them fall in love with the sub.
Yes,
and like
that's the
wild character turns Wendy. I'm like, Wendy wouldn't give a fuck about any of this shit. Like now,
that's another good one. That might be another good video to do. Wendy's character journey. That's because that's so she's changed so much over the years. I might look into that. Okay, how about some of the lines that the fucking like commentators were, like the one commentator is just saying like crazy like racist and awful shit, and the other one's like, dude, shut up, stop.
He was bugging, bro.
I know. Oh my god. Yeah, that guy's nuts. But man, I love that the core of this is like, well, it's weird that they have this football team and Chef is the coach. That's weird, first of all. I like that the rival is Middle Park. They don't do North Park or West Park or East Park. They do Middle Park. That's funny. But I love that in this episode, even though Stan is like he's got these like fears as a parent about his gay dog. At the end, like in the end, when he's supposed to be at the game, he's like, no, I'm gonna go find my dog. Like, I'm worried about my dog. That's really sweet. I think it's a really nice, sweet story. And then obviously they go through that whole journey where he thinks he gets it, doesn't get it. And then at the end, I just love his sentence. I'm sorry I tried to change you, Spark. I just didn't understand. It's like the episode really paints its picture really well. Like, I just didn't understand. And now he does. And it's accurate the way everyone reacted at the end based on the time period. But it's a bummer. Like, it's just like, oh man, Stan went through this growth. He did the right thing. and then he was punished for it.
Right. Yeah.
But it is cool that they won a GLAAD award. They won a GLAAD award. And it also was nominated. Oh, no, maybe it was nominated. Maybe it was just nominated for a GLAAD award. And nominated for an Emmy as well. Oh, you know what? I think it was nominated for an Emmy and GLAAD for the same episode. Both.
Nice.
Which I think is the right choice. I would agree with that as the one I would submit. Cool. Should we move on? You got anything else about the Big Gay Boat?
Oh, I like this is the one where Clyde talks about his voice.
Yes.
I like the recurring thing about the dog wearing the pink scarf.
Yeah. Me too.
So how the fuck do you keep getting this scarf? I love when they're watching Jesus and Pals and then it gets cut off for Marty's movie reviews and Cartman gets so excited. That was a funny thing to me. It was like, oh shit, Marty's movie reviews is on.
That is funny.
I thought that was funny. And I like them. I like Jimbo, Ned, and Buddy. They were singing "Loving You" back and forth because he was trying to tell him about the note that he's waiting for bro to hit. I like that too. I thought that was funny.
I like that too. Who's it? John Stamos' brother or something who's trying to hit that note. It's funny. All right, let's move on to 105. An elephant makes love to a pig. My first note is Kyle got an elephant. Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also, first Shelly episode, first introduction to Shelly,
right.
And the first time
I didn't realize that like they pretty much set up her getting her braces.
Yeah, literally. The opening is like she's mad because she got her braces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why she's mad the whole show.
Yes, for sure. That's exactly right.
I never realized that.
She's so mad.
Yeah.
God, one of my favorite stories in South Park ever is a Shelly story. It's the fucking Broadway Bro Down one, man. Her and the vegan kid. One of my favorite things ever. You make me come out of my shell, Shelly is an all-time moment in South Park history, if you ask me. And this is also kind of the introduction of Mephisto, the mad scientist, and how he was a huge part of the show. And like he's bioengineering animals with multiple asses.
Yeah, 4 asses.
Also, he has like a son in this one who never comes back. Like it's like his son is in this, and like he never shows up again. You know what? Like I think I like this one more than I remember. Like I put this one low in my ranking, and now I'm reading all my notes, and I'm like, oh, I like the weird clone of. I like the weird clone of Stan who goes chewy chewy chomp. That for some reason that makes me laugh pretty much every time. I like when they clone him and they're just like, he only has one ass. It's a failure. Yeah, you know it's funny. You know it.
Do I know it?
You know it. I was also laughing, like they had Chef, and then this is one where Chef sings a sexy song for sexy reasons to try and get the elephant and the pig in the mood. And I like the Elton John cameo coming in to sing a verse. But that makes me laugh because later in the show, in that same episode, Broadway Bro Down I was just talking about, they make him a bro. They make all of those Broadway folks bros. So he's so different singing here versus what they do later. Oh man. Yeah, this is an interesting episode. This is the one where I was noticing how Pip was the kid they picked on before they just had Butters take over that role. Yeah, what do you think about this one?
I'm not a fan.
No,
Nah.
you don't like Chewy Chewy Chomp?
No.
No,
I think
you don't
I think
like, you don't like. Now I know how all those white women felt.
Now I know how all those white women felt.
Oh man.
I think one of my only notes about this is a animation thing, which is this is when all of the mouth shapes look normal.
Yeah.
All the regular, because they just kind of use this. They've been using the same mouths for the entire run of the show, but this is like where they come from. I think like they start using the regular ones here. But yeah, this was around where after Boat Ride, like this was just kind of like my downward decline of like, oh man, these are boring now, and it started with this one. Like I just wasn't.
There's one cut. There's a dramatic cut that I like a lot. It's at the end when Shelly faces off against like the clone stand, and just very dramatic. What the hell do you want? And then they like cut to him, and it's just ... And he goes, Chewy Chewy Chomp. Like I like the dramatic pause before he just says the same shit that he always says. The ending is so dark though. Mephisto shoots him in the head. It's fucked up.
That's rough.
Yeah. I know I made note of Randy's eyebrows coming back in this episode.
Oh, they in this one. Okay.
And this is the introduction of Sharon. Definitely the first time we see Sharon, and really the first time we see them as a family unit. Like this is
where we find out that he's like, oh, okay, that is Stan's dad. You know.
And it's got a sweet ending. The Shelly and Stan ending is sweet. I like it, where Stan's like Shelly takes the blame. So that for her scared younger brother, even though she's been beating him up the whole time. Yeah, it's okay. It's an okay episode. You want to move on?
Let's move on.
Let's move on to 106 Death. The introduction of Grandpa Marsh. We got all of the Marshes now. I liked the joke that how like this episode's like about assisted suicide, and every time the kids like go to ask an adult about it, they're like, I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole.
Right.
That is a funny recurring joke. Even Jesus is like, nope, not touching that.
The wildest thing about this one to me is that the B plot is just the movie.
It's just the movie. It's just the television version of the movie where Kyle's mom is anti Terrence and Phillip, trying to get it canceled, does get it canceled. No resolution to that other than Terrence Phillip is just still on after this episode.
And this one introduces the really complicated, just what the fuck is Terrence and Phillip? Because they're real people, but they call it a cartoon half the time.
They call it a cartoon, but they're real people in the show. It doesn't make sense. Like it really doesn't make sense.
And this one kind of kicks that off, because like isn't the building called like Cartoon Central or something?
Cartoon Central. Like I think the thing that they do in this is that they're trying to use, because obviously in this and in what's it called,
the movie?
in the film, the idea is that Terrence and Phillip is like the in-universe surrogate for South Park itself. Like they're just commentating on their own existence, and so like that's where they're calling it a cartoon, right? Is like it's a cartoon in that regards, but like obviously it's not a cartoon. Terrence and Phillip are characters that we see all the time,
and it's like like the easiest way to fix that is just like you can make Terrence and Phillip a cartoon and you just make it about the dudes that made it.
Right, totally.
You know what I mean? Like it's an easy fix. Either you just make it a live action show that they watch, or just make it a cartoon and just have just have two dudes make the cartoon. You know,
that's pretty funny. It's weird. It's they do a lot of weird like endings in this. So like the end of this is just like the show's canceled, no resolution, but it just comes back afterwards. Randy's eyebrows are gone again. Made note of that. One episode later, already gone. I forgot that they introduced death. They do that in Family Guy also. I forgot this.
Right.
This completely introduces death, and Stan's grandpa wants to die so badly. Still hasn't died 25 years later.
Yeah, man. Wow, man. The beginning of the episode, he's like, happy 102nd birthday. I was like, shit.
Yeah, right?
I was like, shit, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then the death just turns out Death's going after Kenny. Death's always coming after Kenny. And
this is the one where Kenny has fucking diarrhea most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone does. Everyone's got diarrhea. Yeah.
But Kenny,
there's a bunch of diarrhea jokes.
Kenny runs to the bathroom, but it's in the class.
Right.
It's the weirdest
in the
visual
classroom?
joke. Yeah, it's in the classroom. It's just a door behind him. There's two doors. One says boys and one says girls. And he's like shitting while Garrison is teaching. And obviously they're doing it for the bit, but it was just like, what kind of fucking classroom is this?
Yeah. Because that obviously is not the case ever again in the show.
Right, yeah. It's like remember when they just had that random bathroom in Futurama?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's just like that.
This episode was pretty forgettable for me, but I love the ending where after the show gets canceled, they're like, well, what are we going to do? There's no cartoons. Like, well, I heard huffing gas fumes is fun. Like, we could try crack.
You said my uncle says crack is fun. Like, I was like, oh shit.
But it is funny. It's like a funny piece of commentary. They're like, you really want to get rid of the things that are keeping your kids from doing shitty stuff. Like, they're basically what they're saying here at the end. But overall, this episode's underwhelming for me. Underwhelming one.
I agree.
Let's move on. We'll move on.
Little Pink Eye, yeah, let's do it.
This is the end of the first 6. This is the first 6 that they produced, and then they got picked up for 7 more. So Pink Eye is the first one post renewal. And it's their first Halloween episode. They've done a handful of Halloween episodes over the year. They don't do them every year like The Simpsons. They've probably done 7 or 8 Halloween episodes total over 25 years. I should make a video about that because they're actually mostly very good. They mostly are very good at Halloween episodes. Like 2 years in a row, they did 2 seasons in a row. They did Halloween episodes, which was unusual for the show. And one was the Scoots. Remember the Scoots? The Scoots is so funny. It's a parody of the Birds, but it's about the scooters. It's about bird scooters that show up all over town. And then it's a great episode. And then the other one is Sons of Witches with the Jack and Crack weekend for the guys where they go dress up as witches and just do drugs in the woods. It's a really funny one. I think I remember that one. That's in the midst of like season 20 or 21, in the midst of like a serialized thing, so people forget about it, but it's such a fucking good episode.
The one I usually think about is the FaceTime one.
The Nightmare on FaceTime is like an all-time episode to me. I love A Nightmare on FaceTime. It's one of my favorite episodes. Like a weird way to do a Shining parody, but god damn it if it isn't great.
That episode's great.
Love that one. I'm gonna make a video about the Halloween specials. That's a fun idea. So I like that this intro is now Halloweenized. This is the first variation of the intro we ever see. I remember the Chewbacca costume thing being a thing. That's funny. Everyone wearing Chewbacca. Random. Why Chewbacca in 1997?
Yeah. That's why Kyle thought he had the shit in the bag.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ain't nobody wearing that Chewbacca shit. You walk in, everybody got that shit on, man.
Maybe the Star Wars special editions had just come out, but they made episodes about the Star Wars special editions. So like, I feel like that would have been later. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And then this is like this is of course the one where we see the hints of Cartman being evil, where he's just straight up dresses up as Hitler.
Yeah, my first note is Cartman is fucking bugging. Because he bugs the fuck out this whole episode.
He does.
Yeah. He bugs the fuck out.
Making sure my cat's not.
You're like, yeah, it's a fucking war going on back over there.
Yeah, they're fucking around. You all right, Hamlet? He's bugging out. He's bugging out like Cartman right now. He's kind of a tweaky cat. He freaks out at stuff. Anyways, I laughed really hard when they're showing Cartman the educational film about why you can't dress up as Hitler, is like what Hitler why Hitler was bad. And the first line is, Adolf Hitler was a very, very naughty man. It's like really underselling it there.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting that they set up Cartman as like even though the rest of the season he feels really different, but like they do set up like Cartman's this kind of evil piece of shit in some ways. But this one, he does feel dumber. He feels dumb and ignorant in this versus like vindictive, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my notes is just Princess Victoria, what are you doing? Because she dresses him up as a Klansman.
Sport is stupid.
It's so stupid. But when he goes, wow, Chef must be really afraid of ghosts. Did you notice how weird Chef's scream was? They give like that. It's like clearly not Isaac Hayes. Like the scream they give him when he runs away. I like that this is just a full blown zombie episode though. Like I like that for their first Halloween episode, they're like, let's just do actual zombies. They call it Pink Eye, but it's just real zombies. Yeah. And that the whole episode, Kenny is just like, they're with Kenny and he's a zombie and they don't even really know or understand what's happening.
I think I do think it was I do think it's like kind of sweet that like he just doesn't attack they don't find out because he doesn't do anything to them. Yeah.
He's not going to fuck up his friends. Yeah.
Right.
Of course. That is sweet. That's nice. It's a nice testament to Kenny.
Yeah.
Man, I love Kenny. I got to make a Kenny video. I've been meaning to do that for a long time. Wait, what is this? Oh, I remember this joke now. So when they're trying to figure out something and they find the crack whore magazine with Cartman's mom on it, and they're like laughing and making fun of it. And I laughed really hard when Chef goes, "You better let me take that, Kyle." And he just takes
it. And he has like a grin on his face and shit. It's pretty funny.
Super funny.
Also, another thing about Chef is that like kind of fucking strength do Chef got on him when he's talking to the doctor and he just rips that dude's arm off to try to prove a point, but the dude wasn't a zombie and his fucking arm just starts fucking shooting blood. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, man. Chef must be ripped. Jeez.
Right, yeah.
It's funny they just do Thriller. Like it's such a like weird. If usually this show, at least later when they do homage and parody, they like there's a spin on it. And this was really just them doing, oh, Chef's going to do Thriller for a second. He just does it, right? I guess he's singing his own song. But it felt like there maybe would have been.
Like he's like singing, I guess, his lyrics, but it's like to the tune of Thriller.
To the tune of Thriller, right. Yeah. I'm surprised they got away with that, to be honest.
I feel like it was a couple notes off and it might have been enough to like be parody.
Parody law. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I love the end. I love the end because they obviously at the end of every episode they do the bit where they're like, I learned something today. And I like it this one. They're like, Halloween's not about costumes and candy. It's about giving and like being with your friends. And it's like, no, dude, that's Christmas. Oh, well then what's Halloween about? Costumes and candy. Oh, like it's just a good ending. There's no lesson in this one. He thought he learned a lesson and he was right the whole time before that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You got any other thoughts on this one?
No, man, we went through all my notes on it.
Yeah. They also did the zombie stuff in the Stick of Truth. You'll see when we do it. Like, it's interesting how much a few things from season 1 kind of sneak in to Stick of Truth in an interesting way. Cool. Yeah, it's funny. All right. 108, Starvin' Marvin. I feel like as a kid, I remembered this one very vividly. Like, this episode was just like one I knew about, even though I hadn't seen all of the first season. This is one I knew about.
I think I just kind of like always, again, this was one of those I kind of always knew about. It was definitely a name that I always remembered. I can't remember if I improvised it or not, but in the Teenage Robot video, I called one of the characters Starvin' Marvin. I don't remember if I improvised that when I was recording or not, but watching this episode made me realize, like, I guess I don't remember anything about Starvin Marvin.
Yeah, it's a weird episode, isn't it? I do think that like it's a very kid thing. I like them being like, oh yeah, we'll do this because we can get the sports watch. Like that's a very silly kid thing to be like, I want to get the sports watch from television.
Sure, yeah.
This was the episode where I noticed Token had the T on his shirt. I wrote that note. And this is something else we talked about. It's so interesting to see early Mrs. Cartman now versus later. Like,
sure, yeah.
This one's got a lot of that going on.
And speaking of just like character shit, there's a moment with where Stan is like calling, to like, you know, like ask about the watch and like how much money they gotta put up or whatever. And Kyle, as soon as Stan gets on the phone, Kyle says something like, make sure you ask them, yada, yada, yada. And Stan's like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, he like yells at Kyle. And I was like, whoa. Like, it's so wild now.
Definitely aspects of the group dynamic that they did not have down yet. Like it felt like they all blended together a little more in this first season. Like they all have moments where they're like assholes to each other in the way that Cartman is an asshole to them later, you know. And that was interesting. It was like it felt like they all really developed their own distinct personalities as the show went on, which is good. You don't want all your main characters to feel the same, so it's a good thing. I always like the rabid turkey subplot visually, just like a herd of turkeys come in like mowing people down is funny to me.
Sure. I think the thing that kind of makes it funny to me is how turkeys just look on South Park.
Yes, they're super funny. Yeah. You remember there's the Gobbles episode that we'll get to eventually. The one with love that shit. Okay, here's something I noticed. So in this season they go a few times to that like all you can eat buffet, Jimmy's eat and feed or whatever it is, Jimmy's all you can eat place. And I noticed they messed up here. They go there, they're all eating. Kyle is eating ham. He's Jewish. He can't eat ham.
Oh shit.
He's not allowed to eat ham. What the hell? they messed up.
Bad vibes.
Come on, guys. Continuity. Because let's see if that's a thing in this. The next episode is about how he's Jewish. That's the whole next episode.
Yeah.
I also made a note of how I was just meant to be a foreshadow in this episode because Cartman gets sent to Africa, but they say you better watch what you say, Cartman. You might be poor and hungry one day. But like now with the added context of the end of Return of COVID.
That's true.
Yeah. that
is very
that
true.
messed with my head. I was like, oh shit.
That's very true. I didn't even connect the dots on that one.
Yeah, that one's I just been thinking too much about recent South Park. I cover it too much, that's why. I almost like gasped when they did this. They made up a slur for poor people in this. Like they call them povs, like poverty-stricken people. Like what the fuck? That's crazy. Poverty. And it's like the mayor. It's like the mayor and her people, like who are just shitty. So like just them doing shitty things. Yeah. They do the Braveheart recreation in this one. There's like against the turkeys. You see, like there's a lot of like stuff where they just do stuff from other. At least a couple. There's Thriller and this, where they just do stuff from other movies. And the only spin is that they're against turkeys. But they just do the Braveheart speech. They just do it. Yeah. I think my favorite line in this... I did like... I thought it was funny, like Starvin Marvin sitting on the couch and like taking Cartman's place, who just becoming more like Cartman. It just like was like sweet. He just started saying like sweet, cheesy poofs. Yeah,
I want cheesy poofs.
Sweet. It's pretty funny. And I laughed really hard when Cartman is like struggling and he can't go on. He goes, "Can't go on. Need appetizer." He needs an appetizer. Yeah, it's it's interesting. They kind of had a nice message at the end where they're like, yeah, they're actual people, not like they're not just. It's not just a TV commercial, you know. Like these aren't just the subject of some sad commercials. These are people, and then they do the sad Kenny's family ending where they're like they have the can, and they can't open it, and Kenny's dead, and yeah, it's fucked up. I think it's the whole first time we see his whole family too. Other than there's no Karen yet, so. no Karen McCormick quite yet.
Okay.
I feel like they'd introduce her till like 10 years later, at least.
His little sister?
His little sister, yeah. They just have his older brother. Yeah.
I forget about the older brother.
I know, because they don't do anything with them. They introduce the younger sister, and then she's instantly has more to do than his older brother ever did.
Than he ever did, yeah.
Yeah. I love Karen. Karen's great. Yeah, The Poor Kid is one of my favorite episodes. Love it so much. Great episode. All right, should we move on?
Yeah, I don't got nothing for Starving Marvin, man.
All right.
My second note says I'm so bored.
Let's talk Mr. Hanky then. So I imagine the part that you think is gross, which I think is so funny, is Mr. Hanky jumping around the bathroom, right?
Can't do it, bro.
It's so fucking funny.
The fucking shit stain. Oh, dude.
The cut, though, like him jumping around the bathroom and singing and all that shit, and then the cut to him opening the door and he sees what's happening, and Kyle's just holding a piece of shit and there's shit smeared all over the bathroom is so fucking funny to me. It's so funny. And it's weird because like the pee episode, I just talked about how that pee episode like grossed me out so much in the streaming world too. Like I can't do the pee episode. Granted, it's probably because they like are like drinking pee and like putting pee in food all the time, and like so it's like right. I can stomach the original pee episode and the Streaming Wars Part 1, even though it has a lot of pee in it, but the Streaming Wars Part 2 has all this like them eating pee, and I'm like, well, I can't deal with that. So like if that were the case here, I don't think I'd enjoy it. But I think what is so funny about this to me is that it's Mr. Hanky jumping around, and then when they don't believe him, to them it's just a piece of poo. Like that's so funny to me. I
do think it's fun. It's just that it was the stains, bro. Every time I saw a shit stain, I was like, oh man, no, turn this shit off.
I also like that this is pretty much a musical. First Kyle's mom's a bitch sequence.
First Kyle's mom's a bitch.
And then, but
Cartman also calls Kyle's mom a super bitch early in the episode, and I wrote down super bitch.
Super bitch.
Because I was like, oh, damn.
My favorite part of this episode is the Lonely Jew on Christmas song. Good song. It's a good song. It's a sweet ass song, and it actually is like it stems from something that is like real in this world and their character that they've built. You know what I mean? Like everyone in this town and in a lot of towns, like there's like heavy Christian populations and like not that many Jewish folks. Like I think I grew up in a town that's very Christian. There's a few Jewish kids, and you know, like to think about what that would be like to see all your other friends celebrate one thing, and then you celebrate something completely different. And right. I don't know. I just like it's a nice Kyle episode. I like this is they give Kyle the most to do in this episode, and they give him a real actual dilemma with his life, and I appreciate it. And I think the song's sweet. I just think the song's sweet. Yeah, I think after that the episode gets a little less exciting for me. I really like the whole first chunk. And I mean, I do laugh, and then I laugh really hard at the poop part that you don't like. But
can't do it. Another thing that I was just like, what the fuck is in the opening, like they're like, guys, look, it's snowing outside. I'm like, you guys live on a fucking mountain,
right?
I'm like, why is everybody so excited? And he's like, wow, Christmas snow. I'm like, you get snow every day.
It's a different kind of snow. I will say the thing that absolutely that grosses me out beyond belief in this episode even though it's conceptually funny, is the live action Mr. Hank. Build your own. Mr.
You
Hank
know what? That was
commercial.
the next thing I was gonna bring up. I was gonna ask you about that with the fucking baby.
The
and
baby, dude.
Like, they're like, "Where's Mr.
So
Hanky?"
gross.
And it's just like, it's obviously like chocolate or something, but it's like shit all over the baby.
Right.
He's like playing like he just
It's
ate
so
it. And I was
gross.
like,
But there's some other funny parts in there. Like I laughed when the little girl was just like, "I wish Daddy was still alive." Like,
yeah, and then the mom doesn't have like a
Any
like it's just kind of like
reaction,
a
yeah.
like it's like one of those. It's like
Yeah.
I think that's what made that like get like a chuckle out of me. I was like, damn, why
Right.
does she react like that?
Yeah. And then obviously this is the only episode where Kenny doesn't die in the first season. Then they keep faking it out. I think those are funny when they make you think, oh, this is how he's gonna go. Here it is. And at the end they're like, something's unfinished. What's going on? But I thought it was funny how like one of the resolutions came because like no one believed Kyle. He gets sent to the institute, and then Chef is just like, "Oh, you mean Mr. Hanky?" It's like he just knows who Mr. Hanky is, like the Christmas poo, of course. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, I'm mixed on this episode. I really like parts of it, but it's overall, I think, pretty middling. I would say.
Yeah, I get you. This one's
yeah.
I don't think this
You
one's for me.
Can't handle the poop.
Can't handle the poop. They referenced Charlie Brown too much in the opening for me. I got a little upset.
I wrote a note about that in a later episode. I'll read it to you when we get there.
Oh man,
you're gonna hate me. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Damien. 110. Damien. This is like the introduction of Satan and the first real like Jesus centric episode. I think this is a really smart premise. This is a really funny premise to me. Where it's like literally like Satan challenging Jesus to a fight. I mean, the whole like he's got this whole grift. I love that he's got his whole grift here. Where he's the only one who bets on himself. That's a fun twist at the end, where everyone's just like, well, we're going to bet on Satan, obviously. And then he just throws the fight. I think that's really funny. I like some of the Damien stuff where they're like, even though he's the son of Satan and he's got all these powers, like this stupid fucking new kid, like this damn new kid's here. And then the way that he like wins them over is just beating up Pip, setting Pip on fire or sending him to hell or whatever. Yeah, it's a weird episode. Oh, and then this Eric's birthday party. I always remembered Eric's birthday party as a kid because I remember him going, "Ants in the pants, ants in the pants."
Ants in the pants. Yeah, he gets really mad.
Yeah. What do you think about Damien?
I have two notes on Damien. I'll start with my second one. My second one says, how are Jesus and Satan about to fight and I'm bored? And my first note is about, which is, you talk about the ants in the pants thing being something you always remember. Mine was the music that plays every time Damien rants.
Yes, totally.
that like got like a good like nostalgic laugh out of me just because I remembered it for so many years. I forgot that it was in that episode, and then it comes back later because I think like there's like a random episode later where like like characters just start singing it kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. This, I think in general they did a good job with some of their music stings and their dramatic the dramatic music stings and like the recurring music stings in this season I think are funny, and that's something they've always been good at, I think. This episode it's one where I like the premise a lot and the episode itself less. That's how I feel about this one. But there are I like the individual parts of it. I love the idea that I just love the premise that Satan throws the fight and to win a bet. It's funny. I like that even Father Maxie bets on Satan. Even he won't bet on Jesus. Yeah. It's funny. There's some really funny bits in here. But yeah, I don't have much else to say other than like I think it's kind of got a sweet ending where they're like, what do they say? He's got a sad goodbye where like Damien finally starts to like fit in, and then he's got to go back to hell with Satan. And they're like, oh man, he was just starting to get along with everyone. I think it's like kind of sweet that the boys are like, oh, poor Damien. Even though he shows up, he's in the movie, doesn't say anything, but he's in it.
He is in the class, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the class. He's in
the class.
And he goes to the movie theater. He comes out of the movie theater after they see Asses of Fire. God, I love that fucking movie. I might watch that movie tonight.
Shit.
I might watch that movie tonight. All right, let's move on. You got anything else about Damien? You only had 2 notes.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything. I actually have. I didn't realize how many notes I had for the next one, but I got a good handful.
Cool. Let's talk about Tom's rhinoplasty. So this is where I got the note for you. My first note is when they introduce the sub, and they say, well, treat her with the same respect you would have for Mr. Garrison. He said, we don't have respect for Mr. Garrison, which is really funny. But they do the peanut smiles when they meet her, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Because I remember seeing that, and I was like, "That's weird." They never do anything like that again. Especially like they have like a music sting right there. Yeah. It's like everything that they
never done anything like that. It's fully the peanut smiles, and I wrote the peanut smiles. You cannot escape it, Tariq.
This is like bad. This is bad vibes, and especially like it got to the point where like I tried so hard not to think about it that like it didn't even register as peanuts to me. Like you saying it is the first time it connected in my brain. It's like, oh, I guess that was kind of how Charlie Brown smiles.
You're very welcome. Chef is so funny in this one. I love when he comes in to flirt with Miss Ellen, and she goes, "I'm the substitute," and he goes, "Well, I'm sure there's no substitute for you." That's such a fucking good Chef line.
Fam, after she agrees to go to dinner with him, and Cartman says, "Ah, shit, Chef's gonna make sweet love to Miss Ellen." She's like, "What?
Yeah, what?" And they just keep saying that shit. She's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah. I like that. I was laughing because the subplot here is Mr. Garrison going and getting his nose job, which turns him into David Hasselhoff.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And but I was laughing because there's a joke in there where they was like, "Where have you ever seen the movie Contact?" And he starts vomiting and goes, "That's such a bad movie."
It's such a bad movie.
Contact's a good movie. Fuck them. It's a good movie.
I've never seen
I stand by it.
But it's so funny that he keeps throwing up.
yeah, I know it is funny, but Contact's a good movie. He spoils the ending, and he expresses his disappointment at the ending. Good movie though. It's a fucking good movie. Watch Contact.
My first note is a joke that happens right before the chef's gonna make sweet love to Miss Ellen. Is when Chef comes in and says that Kyle left his laundry detergent.
Detergent,
and then Chef says Crazy Cracker's always leaving the detergent all over the place. What the fuck does that even mean? This shit is so funny.
Yeah, dude, I'm always leaving my laundry detergent places.
And it's like box detergent. Like it's like
it's like powder. Yeah, old powder. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. Because of the Miss Ellen thing, the kids are so fucking mean to each other in this one. They're just all so mean.
Yeah.
They're all fighting over her and they're mean as hell. I got a big laugh of when they're all giving her gifts. And she opens Kenny's and is like, "Kenny got me a scrumptious looking sausage," and then Kenny just laughs hysterically. It's really funny. It's really funny. I love that Kenny is like, even in the season, Kenny's whole thing is that like he is very sexually oriented in his comedy, but you can't understand what he's saying. So all the kids are always like, "What is like?" They always say something that alludes to the fact that he said something sexual, but we couldn't hear it.
And then later on, Matt just kind of like actually talks and like actually says shit. But
you can understand him a lot later.
Yeah, it's intelligible here, and it's done on purpose. There's a joke way early on. It is in an episode. I don't think I brought it up, but he says, Kenny says something, and then I think it was Cartman. He says, "What? How do you know she has a cat?"
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then they
I
just
was
start
just thinking
laughing.
about that
So
one.
funny.
Yeah. Yep. So funny. So
I like
funny.
that one.
Um,
This is something I wanted to ask about. Why is
yeah.
this why is this a thing in just TV shows where like when characters are attracted to a teacher out of nowhere, the teacher says like, if everybody, whoever gets the highest score on their homework, they get to go to dinner with me. Why the
Yeah.
fuck
It's
do they
like,
keep
it's not a
doing
thing.
that?
It would be weird.
That's
Though,
not a thing.
like
You
parents would be
can't
weirded
do
out if that
that.
happened. You can't do that. It's just not a
No,
thing. Yeah.
no
It's,
way.
it's like a TV thing is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. The other funny part of this episode is when Chef tells them all that she's a lesbian, and they're like, well, we'll just be lesbians too.
Right,
And
right.
like there's like literally licking carpet. Like,
There's a because I'll just my last note about the episode, which is a joke I forgot about. They're like, "Oh damn, Cartman, you still trying to be a lesbian?" And he says, "Yeah, my mom says all I have to do is chew on his box." And he has like a cardboard box. It's so funny.
oh my god, it's so funny.
That shit is hilarious.
Man. This is another example of an episode that has funny music stings. Every time new Garrison shows up, he's got a funny music sting, like the David Hasselhoff Garrison. They're good at that shit early on. The place Stan goes to eat with Miss Ellen is the same Jimmy's Buffet, King Jimmy's Buffet or whatever. So like that place showed up a bunch in this season, and I don't think that place, like I'm trying to think if it's in Stick of Truth, because Stick of Truth is like the whole town. You can walk around the whole town, and I'm like, oh, did they replace it with a different restaurant? Is it or is it actually in town still, or was this just an early on location that they abandoned later? Yeah, this is the one. This is the insane Wendy ending one where she what does she hire the Taliban to like to murder?
Yeah, she goes crazy.
It's absolutely wild ending. No way on earth the Wendy we know would do anything like this.
Anything like that, or even care. Well, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say she wouldn't care about how Stan was acting, but the reaction would be she would be like, Stan, what the fuck is wrong with you? Instead of just like Wendy gets like really sad, and then she gets angry, and then like sad again, and then she like does something about it. It's like, for sure, it was just a direction that they wouldn't go. Stan barfing crossed the line for me in this episode because
when he barfed into her mouth. I wrote that down too. I said puke in the mouth, gross.
That's bad. That was bad vibes.
Yeah, not into that. That's the thing. That's kind of that ends up being a lot of the time my limit for the gross out stuff, as seen in Streaming Wars Part 2 with all the eating of pee and drinking of pee. Can't handle it. And then in this one, like I can handle Stan puking. I can handle Garrison puking after his nose job. But when he pukes in her mouth, I'm like, oh, nope, no thanks. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
You got any other thoughts on this one?
Well, my last note about it is that there's a wild Kenny death. Is when they find out who she is, and she's like, no, you're not gonna fucking take me, and then she
she kills him.
Yeah, because that's I think it's just because that's a really wild shot, right? And like how it just comes at Kenny, then it gets him, and then the camera still follows till he hits the wall.
You know what my notes in succession are, and I think it's because I took a while to take these notes, and I think I wrote it when Kenny said something funny early on. But my two notes in a row are, I love Kenny. And then after that, oh no, Kenny, frowny face. All right. You want to move on to 112?
Yeah.
All right. Mecha Streisand. This is the kind of wild shit I love from South Park. Like, this is so bonkers insane, and I love it. The combo of the people who they use in this as their like transformation kaijus is so funny to me. You've got it's just like this. It's just a full on Japanese like kaiju plot where they're like, they discovered the triangle of Xanthar or whatever. and they're like, they discover this thing. And then Barbra Streisand shows up to take it. And then watching the episode the first time, I'm like, where is this going? And then the fact that she turns into Mecha Godzilla. Like Mecha Streisand is so funny to me. But the trio of people that they use to like fight Mecha Streisand, Leonard Maltin, Sidney Poitier, and Robert Smith of The Cure.
When I saw Sidney, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, wait, what? It just confused the shit out of me.
I laugh so hard with the shot where he flies in. He just like Superman flies in and lands. He's like, it's me, Sidney Poitier.
It's me. And then, you know, Chef gets really excited. Okay, so Chef says something to Sidney that like is literally contradicted in the next episode. And it like bothered the shit out of me because I've never seen a show like contradicted like that close together.
Right.
He says, wow, Sidney Poitier in my hometown. And then in the next one, when he meets Cartman's mom, he says, oh, I just moved here. And he's an adult. It's not your fucking hometown.
You're right.
I was like, what the fuck?
Maybe just I'm using the term differently, like the town in which my home is. Right. Yeah.
Man,
like, I don't
fuck
that. That's interesting. I didn't even catch that they said he just moved there. So Chef's recently moved to South Park in the beginning of the show.
Before Cartman was born, because you know that was the little, and he says that in the flashback,
right?
Yeah. So,
I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I'm just a huge like kaiju film fan. So like this episode does all of this stuff, and clearly Matt and Trey are as well. Because like this just like goes beat by beat a very silly old school Showa era kaiju film.
Yeah.
And so like they have the Mothra twins, like they have the two twins who are like in the Mothra movies and the Godzilla vs Mothra movies. They're these two twins who are like they in the movies they're tiny. They're literally like these tiny people and they're twins and they like are the keepers of Mothra. Just very strange. So I love that they had that. So like Leonard Maltin when he grows up to be, when he like sizes up to fight Mecha Streisand, he's kind of, there's two characters I think of. One, there's Jet Jaguar from a Godzilla film called Godzilla vs Megalon, and then he also kind of looks like Ultraman, which is similar styles. There's that kind of style kaiju thing in Japan as well. So I like how I just love the variety of kaiju stuff they pulled from here, because they've got Leonard Maltin being like the Ultraman style thing. You've got Barbra Streisand being Mecha Godzilla. You've got Robert Smith being Mothra, basically. And then Sidney Poitier is Gamera, who Gamera is not even part of Godzilla. He's a just separate kaiju franchise, but he's fully designed after Gamera. So I don't know. It's just like so clear that they love this fucking silly ass kaiju genre because they pulled from everywhere. And I love that shit. I just think this episode's so silly. It's so fucking silly. Like and how seriously they take it. Like Leonard Maltin's just like so serious about like has Barbra Streisand showed up yet? It's so funny. And then they go to get Robert Smith. He's like, Leonard Maltin sent me to get you. He's like, Mecha Streisand's escaped, hasn't she? Or something like it's he's like, or like Barbra Streisand found the Triangle of Xanthar, didn't she? It's very funny to me. Yeah, it's great. I also laughed hysterically at the line that Cartman yells, "Damn your black heart, Barbra Streisand!" It's super funny to me. This one hits so many of my things. That's all. This just
makes me think about in the movie when he's saying all the swears and Barbra Streisand is one of the swears.
It's one of the swears. Yeah. It's fucking great. That's a good follow-up to this, actually. I do like the bit where Mrs. Broflovsky goes to get the autograph and like the giant like to the Mecha Streisand, and she like stops and signs her thing and gives it to her. It's very funny. She's still very vain even as a giant monster. It's great. And then they kill her. Robert Smith is able to destroy her, send her into space. She explodes. She does come back though. You remember that?
No.
Mecha Streisand comes back. She comes back in 200 and 201. They do like a 3D.
Shit.
They do like a 3D model Mecha Streisand, and
Yeah, that does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Okay.
I got to rewatch those. It's been a long time.
It's been. I don't think I've seen them since they aired.
Well, they don't air them anymore. They're not available on HBO Max. And even the original airing of 201 bleeped the name Muhammad every time they said it. And I do have an uncensored version. I'll send it to you. And nice. Yeah, don't know where it came from, but I've got it.
Friends in high places. Look what I got.
I'm sure they fucking leaked that shit themselves. Cause yeah. Yeah, this is I like this episode. This episode just hits so many. This is like it hits so many of my buttons, and I love when South Park just gets batshit with like silly ass lore. Like I love that stuff. So this one's good for me. You got any other thoughts on it?
Nah, man. I think the last thing I wrote was this ending is stupid, but I don't remember what the ending was.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Ike, Mecha Ike.
Oh yeah, that pissed me off. Oh yeah, I was
that
like,
that was a dumb ending. I agree. It's a weird thing. Like South Park doesn't do that often, where they just do endings that are just like they cut it off at the action and then never follow it up. Like that's not. I feel like that's not that common for South Park. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. But all right, move on to the finale, the season finale.
Let's
Cartman's mom is a dirty slut. Is the name of this episode. First appearance of all of Cartman's stuffed animals: Clyde Frog, Peter Panda, Polly Prissy Pants, who become big important parts of the show later. Kind of. There's a great episode in season 15 about them that I love.
I think I've seen it.
I never thought about until watching this episode, how his frog is named Clyde, and there's also a kid named Clyde. Never thought about it. Clyde Frog.
Clyde Frog, man.
Clyde Frog. I love.
To be fair, I think Clyde Frog has a name before Clyde.
Does he?
And do they say Clyde's name?
Oh,
here
they do say Clyde's name in the season. I remember Garrison says it once. Yeah,
okay.
He definitely does. I don't remember where, but I remember Garrison saying it, and it feeling even weirder because they still didn't get Clyde's name voice right. He still sounded like Butters. I laugh really hard at him asking his mom, like, you know how my friend Stan has a dad, and you know how my friend Kyle has a dad, and you know how my friend Kenny has a dad. It's just like, why don't you know what he's asking?
Yeah. And then it's just silent for like 20 seconds.
She's shocked. She's surprised when he actually says what he means. It's very funny. Yeah, it's super funny.
Man, let me just be the one to say, this poor fucking child.
I know.
All he wants is to know who his fucking dad is, and everybody gives him the runaround. And then the buddy says, "All right, I could figure it out for you. It's just gonna cost $3,000," and he can't get $3,000. And it's exactly like the fucking streaming wars where Stan and Kyle help him out with whatever they're doing, to give him the money, but it's like, in the streaming wars, it's just kind of like he's just kind of being like an entitled asshole. He just wants to get his mom titties. Like, that's just really what it is. But here, he is genuinely about to cry. He has no idea that Stan and Kyle like have money incoming or anything like that. He has no idea. He is just very fucking sad that he doesn't know who his dad is.
It's so genuine.
So sad. I was like, damn, man.
And it's early enough in the show where you can really feel bad for Cartman because he is not evil yet. Like, you really can feel for him here. And I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. The journey to finding out who his father is nuts. Like, when he thinks it's Chef, and he just puts the tracksuit and the hair and the chains and everything.
West Side.
I feel like that clip was used so much in like promotion for South Park for years.
Yeah, I guess because they thought it was funny as fuck.
But it's also such a tiny thing. It's like in it for like for like 10 seconds. It's such a small part of the episode, but it is funny. It is a funny bit. Yeah. I thought the craziest joke in this episode when they're like, well, who here hasn't had sex with Mrs. Cartman? Like even Jesus and Father Max.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, this poor fucking child, bro. That shit, fam. When they keep telling them the stories, and she locks eyes with all of the dudes, and like it just plays that song.
Yes,
and just, like zooms in. When they do that with the entire Denver Broncos team, it is so funny.
I know, dude.
That shit is hilarious.
I think I remember this episode. I do like this episode a lot, but I think all of my biggest laughs come from the follow-up, because in the follow-up is when they keep over the course of the episode doing the thing, who is Cartman's father? Which is so fucking funny. It's so funny every time. There were a couple lines that fucking killed me. I love after like when Cartman realizes when he thinks he's not going to figure out who his dad is. And Jimmy goes, well, it's okay, son. I never knew who my father was either. I mean, I did know who he was, and we had some great times hunting and fishing. It's just like it's completely. It's like, come on, bro. So funny, so funny. And then when Cartman realizes that they sent in the his Tea Party video to the show, and he's just like turning red. He's like,
he gets so fucking red,
pissed off right now. It's like that delivery where he can barely get the words out. It's so fucking funny to me. Yeah, I love it. I love it a lot.
There's the one that I love is the subversion on the bus driver where Stan says, "We're not getting on, you fat ugly bitch," and she says, "What did you say?" And he says, "We're not getting on, you fat ugly bitch." She says, "Oh, okay." She just closes the door. He's like, "I always wondered if that would work."
I always thought that would work. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, this is a super funny episode. It feels like and it kind of feels like this feels a little more like they've moved into later territory, even though it's still season 1, I think a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny. I think part 2 is funnier. I remember it being funnier. We'll find out. Maybe I'll watch it. And I also know it has a fucked up ending. It has a pretty fucked up ending, but, who is Cartman's father? Is it Chef, Mr. Garrison, the Denver Broncos? It's super, super funny. Man, it's great. You got any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Good finale, fun finale. I like that they end the first season on a cliffhanger too.
Yeah,
it's a bold move. I guess they knew they were getting more.
If they didn't get renewed, well, I feel like they knew they were going to get renewed, but if they didn't get renewed, they just probably would have thought it would have been funny that they didn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably. You're probably right. Yeah. Let's do you have any other thoughts? I mean, I guess we kind of at the top went over a lot of what we felt about this season. But do you have any other thoughts on season 1 of South Park in general as it stands in relation to the rest of the show?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just kind of found a lot of these boring.
Yeah.
It reminds me, like, it makes me think about all the other first seasons that we did and how, like, I just found so many things like really interesting, and like The Simpsons, it was just so interesting to see like how different it was. With King of the Hill, it was interesting to see like the seeds that they planted. With Family Guy, it was just so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But here is just, I feel like this is like my least favorite of
between Simpsons, King of the Hill, and Family Guy.
Definitely between those.
Definitely
between those. But it might be my least favorite season 1 out of like all the ones we talked about so far.
Yeah.
Like
Archer is better. Futurama is better. Home movies I like. Yeah, Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty's. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This might be our weakest season 1, which is crazy.
Right.
But that's interesting. Like it will be interesting to see how the show evolves if we keep rolling with this one. This one starts to have pretty long seasons. They do like 17 episode seasons, which is better than many of the shows we might cover. 17's better, but
yeah, for sure.
And then eventually they get down to 14, which is doable. And then even after that, eventually it's 10, which is easy. But that's like way down the line.
Right.
Yeah. I just was fascinated to see what characters were main characters, were set up to be mainstays, like Bar Brady and the mayor, and Jimbo had a big role early on, like bigger role early on, that kind of stuff. And Chef, obviously, they still use Chef for years, but he was like he is a big part of almost every episode in this season. Yeah, it's really interesting. Just a really interesting, given how the show is evolved many times over the years. I mean, the show evolved into what people remember as classic South Park, and then evolved again into like, I feel like the middle era is quite a bit different than that. And then like, and then like the early serialization, and then the Tegrity, and like there's so many like little eras of South Park, which I personally love. Like I think
that keeps it interesting.
Totally. I can't, like, even there's eras I like more than others, but like if the show is trying to do the same shit the whole time, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point?
My
cool.
cat is like
your cat's trying to get in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She's like running around the living room or something. I don't know what's going
on. Should we do our rankings?
Let's go.
All right. I'm going to start from the bottom. Number 13, weight gain 4,000. 12, death. 11, Tom's rhinoplasty. 10, an elephant makes love to a pig. 9, Starvin' Marvin. 8, Pink Eye. 7, Damien. 6, Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo. 5, Cartman gets an anal probe. 4, Cartman's mom is a dirty slut. 3, Volcano. 2, Mecha Streisand. 1, Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride.
Two of ours like link up perfectly. The rest is just all over the place.
Hell yeah. Let's see.
I guess 3 actually. 13, weight gain 4,000. 12, an elephant makes love to a pig. 11, Starvin' Marvin. 10, Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo. 9, Mecha Streisand. 8, Damien. 7, death. 6, Cartman gets an anal probe. 5, Pink Eye. 4, Cartman's mom is a dirty slut. 3, Tom's rhinoplasty. 2, Volcano, and 1, Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride.
We got top and bottom are the same. That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, you didn't like Mecha Streisand as much as I did. Bummer.
No.
But we had a lot, like, in general, other than a couple that were flipped, like other than like you having Mr. Hanky low and Mr. Mecha Streisand low. In general, we're like similar placements, I think, which happens a lot. That happens a lot with us. Man, this was fun to talk about this show. I basically spent all day watching South Park. It's been a long day.
Yeah, me too.
This will be it'll be interesting to see what we want to cover after we finish these season ones. I guess this is kind of it, yeah. Or unless we could theoretically cover American Dad or Bob's for season ones, or we just figure out which of these we want to talk about moving forward, which at the moment feels like King of the Hill or The Simpsons. Feels like those are our... I don't know how you're feeling. That's what I felt. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think those are the logical steps. I wouldn't mind doing Family Guy.
That's
true.
Actually,
well, we don't even know yet, though. We don't know how that one's going to do.
We got to see how
it's not out yet.
Yeah, let's see how people react to Family Guy. We did get some new patrons for Family Guy because they wanted to see us talk about it. And it seems like it has a lot of like previews, a lot more previews than a lot of our early eps have when we throw them up early for the patrons. Season 2 has 21 episodes. Fuck. God, these are gonna kill us. I would also not mind doing Family Guy though. Family, because Family Guy
Yeah,
season 2.
yeah.
It's just I wasn't even thinking about it because we recorded it so long ago. We recorded
Right,
it
yeah.
forever ago.
We're talking about the Batman at the top of that, bro.
I know, it's so
like,
funny.
I'm fresh out the theater. Like, I don't even remember doing that.
You literally had just gotten back from seeing the Batman. That's crazy.
Fuck.
Man, this was great. Really like talking about South Park. Yeah, if you liked this, make sure to check out the Patreon, in which we will be talking about other Matt and Trey stuff. That's going to be soon. Actually, by the time this comes out, I believe the week that this first part is out, which this isn't in the first part. So I'll fuck.
Whatever.
Blew it.
Whatever.
That week is when if you're hearing this, that means we've got at least one Matt and Trey project, Cannibal the Musical, up on Patreon. So check that out. We're going to be covering them for a couple months, basically, and that'll be a fun time. We love Matt and Trey. I'm eager to. Cannibal the Music is going to be similar to this. I think we're like, oh, this is such early, like this is so early, weird, tame Matt and Trey humor, but it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, but I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. Do you have anything to plug, Tariq?
No. Just a bucket full of dreams, man. Whatever.
Do you think you'll have anything to plug in a week and a half when this comes out?
I guess maybe Class of 3000. The Class of 3000 video. More than they'll be up.
Hell yeah.
By then.
Hell yeah. Go check that out. I'll have, I think, a new video about Hank Hill crying. Every time Hank Hill cries, what makes him cry, which I think is going to turn out pretty good. And probably some other stuff. I think I got some BoJack shit finally coming out again.
Nice.
I gotta get to work on that fucking BoJack timeline, man.
It's going to keep staring at you until you do something about it, bro.
The problem is I have sponsorships, so I need to like do things I can finish first, and then I gotta
ain't that the way, bro. It's so much shit where I'm like, man, I'll do this right now if I ain't have so many damn obligations.
Exactly.
But,
cool. All right. Well, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun. I had a great time talking South Park with you. And with that, I want to thank Gary Feek for our amazing artwork. I want to thank Jake Neutron for the theme song. I want to thank Michael Yunez for producing and editing the podcast and co-hosting our After Dark episodes with us. I want to thank Toonrific Tariq for co-hosting every episode with me and being just a lovely man who I like talking to.
Oh, appreciate that.
I want to thank all of you for listening and making this possible, making this worth doing. And thank all of our cursed ones who have signed up for our Patreon. And with that, have a great day. Thank you very much.